Welcome to the Nerd Party.
It can travel anywhere in time and space.
Right. This is gonna be fun.
Up we go into time and space!
Welcome to Time and Space, the Nerd Party's dedicated Doctor Who podcast. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Phillip Gilfus.
So, have we done anything Doctor Who-esque
I'm scratching
this
my
week?
head.
Nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah, actually we do have things to talk about, but we're just going to probably save our usual banter to the end, because of course, new Doctor Who!
Hooray!
Yes, and so we're very excited to be talking about the new Doctor, new series, new everything. And so, to help us with this, we want to bring in a guest to bring in some other perspectives. So, we are pleased to welcome to the Time and Space, TARDIS, whatever we want to call this.
TARDIS, yeah.
Sure.
Hanging out in the small box.
Exactly. Sue Kissenweather. Sue, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Now, you're coming fresh off of New York Comic Con.
I am.
You had your own Doctor Who premiere experience.
Yes. Along with 5,500 other people, we packed into Madison Square Garden to watch the simulcast. And
That's amazing.
Yeah. Immediately after the simulcast, Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall and what's his name?
Oh, the executive producer.
Strevens. Yes. I can't remember his first name. Were all there and gave us about 45 minutes of panel talk, which was really excellent. One of the best cast panels that I have been to in a really long time.
Yeah, and by coincidence, in case you missed it, we released an audio recording of the Doctor Who panel earlier in the week. So if you didn't get a chance to hear that, please listen to that on either the Time and Space stream or on the Nerd Party stream itself. So, I mean, obviously, people can listen to themselves, but what were sort of maybe 2 or 3 highlights from the panel that really stuck with you?
I think that they sort of come out swinging. Like, they didn't shy away from any of the hard questions. They spoke about how their goal is inclusivity and diversity. They spoke about how they wanted to create this character with a disability and do it right. And Chibnall spoke about how his nephew, I believe nephew, also has dyspraxia, and how they worked with a dyspraxia organization to make sure they got it right. But that although this was a defining characteristic for this companion, it's not the defining characteristic for this companion. So it seems like they are being very thoughtful about everything. And I mean, the very first question to Jodie was, what do you have to say to the girls and women out there watching you? So, I mean, it was right on target from the very start.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's amazing. And I have a friend of mine who has dyspraxia, and he put on Facebook right after the episode how overjoyed he was to see himself represented.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so important.
It's really the little thing. So we definitely encourage folks to listen to that whole panel. But let's get into it. So, of course, we're going to be talking about The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Series 11, Episode 1, premiered, of course, just recently, October 7th, the year of our Lord 2018. Darling, do you want to read the TARDIS.wikia synopsis for this episode?
Yes, please. A newly regenerated Doctor must rally her newfound friends to defeat an alien attack upon a northern town without the TARDIS to help her.
Right. So not a lot to go there, but let's just get right into it and talk about the 13th Doctor. So Sue, from falling to Earth to revealing her costume, what did you think of the 13th Doctor?
We've only had an hour, but I love her. I love her. I think the thing that sums up my reaction the most is the meme I saw posted shortly after the episode aired that was, Doug from Up under her photo that says, "I just met you and I love you."
So what'd you think, darling? I mean, anything really. But what'd you think of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor?
Yeah, no, from the get-go, I just thought she was the Doctor. There wasn't any, it stopped. Obviously, they talk a little bit about her being female, the madam, why do you call me madam? It didn't matter. She was the Doctor. That was just what she was. And it felt that way from the minute she came on screen.
Yeah, and I liked how, you talk about all the different New Who first episodes, which we talked about last week. She was sort of a woman on a mission. She was there to find out what's going on and to help people. Like, that's what she was locked into.
Looking for a doctor.
That's right. And she's like, well, who I am, I'll figure that out later. But right now, there's a mystery, there's
got
people.
stuff to do, yeah.
And so she was sort of, action-packed from the get-go. And it was sort of very interesting because she kept, sort of going towards the monster and, even, without a TARDIS or a screwdriver until she bloody made one. But, she was typically going, towards the action. And so some parts are like, should you really be going towards the monster? You really don't have anything to, but she's sort of speaking with authority. You get out of here, all these things. And so I just thought that was that determination very early on. And it's like a quiet confidence because she doesn't know who she is and she doesn't know what she can do but she just knows she's in charge.
What she's supposed to do.
I would argue that she does know who she is. She just doesn't remember what she calls herself.
Right.
Because she's showing us who she is. She knows that when there are people in trouble, she tries to help. And she knows that she can do things. She has the confidence to do things. And even if she might not be totally correct that she'll be good at something, she has the confidence to try. I think that's what really jumped out at me the most when she said, I'm good at building things, probably. And then just tried. But like the fear of trying wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And like it sounds maybe a little saccharine, but it sort of reminded me of like being a kid when I think especially for like young girls who are interested in sciences, in exploring, there is no fear there. And that's something that we learn as we get older, right? Is to shy away from engineering, to shy away from sciences. And that's not in this Doctor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it reminds me of a thing we would always go to, like a little performing dinner party, where from a performing and arts standpoint, they would say, you go to like a grade school, you put in a bunch of instruments, and then kids start playing with it, but you put a bunch of instruments into a high school class, people are like, no, I'm too cool, I'm not doing that, I'm not, whatever. Because, people don't play around anymore, and so, but that's sort of like, play, do, try, all this.
Repeat.
Star Wars-y things. Yeah. But yeah, no, I did think it was so interesting, in many ways. Like, I understand it, but for an American audience, there are a lot of Northern accents going on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And, I mean, this doctor, I understood her, but she's going to kind of take some.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about this. And I didn't see any Twitter comments of had to turn the subtitles on. So it wasn't train spotting or anything like that. But, yeah. I hadn't thought about people having to attune their ear to it more.
Right.
It was a little bit difficult, I'll be honest, with the audio in a large theater, in something as large as MSG, where we had a bit of an echo. So a lot of people were paying more attention and really had to parse things correctly to make sure we were following it. It took some getting used to. Watching it again at home, different story. Absolutely fine. But really quickly, I actually want to talk about what you brought up, where she said, "Oh, I'm a woman," and speaking of watching it again at home, they had that Doctor Who after show on BBC America,
right? And
the host was like sort of paraphrasing that line, and she said, "Oh, I am. Does it look good?" And no, that's not what she said. She said, does it suit me?
Or does it suit?
Yeah, does it suit? And I just want to state, there's a very big distinction there, because it's not about appearance, it's about personality. Does it suit? And the answer is hell yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's a good point, particularly because there has been talk about, let's talk about her outfit, because she's a woman, and that's what we talk about with girls, and those sorts of things. And you're absolutely right. It wasn't about how does it look. It was about how do I fit? Mm-hmm. And that was really nice. I loved that line. I thought it was brilliant.
And I thought one thing, I was thinking about her, and it was one of those things, like, these are sort of stereotypical, like, female character words I'm about to use, but I'm like, it's an aspect of the Doctor that has always been there, but we didn't necessarily see all that much with the 12th Doctor, and I'm not criticizing Peter Capaldi or anything like that, but, she was very, caring. She was building new friends. She was accepting the group. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, get away, I don't do hugging. I don't, that we kind of got with the 12th Doctor. I mean, he warmed up eventually. I'm not trying to, start a fight or anything. But anyway, but this was very much more of a, these are, calling Yasmin Yaz because we're friends now,
I love that. That was so great.
She's like, gang, fam, whatever.
I like fam.
Yeah.
But then the fact that, and since someone had pointed this out, that this is one of the few times the Doctor stays, because the ending, and from a narrative standpoint, I'll put that aside for a moment, but the ending where you did have the death and then the funeral, and, the Doctor wasn't just sort of standing out next to the TARDIS because there wasn't a TARDIS, or, wherever, she was there, she was engaged, she was staying for all of this, and being with them before finding a way to get back, instead of, like, with a lot of other Doctors to be like, okay, I'm done, let me go fiddle around so I can find my TARDIS. It was like, let me talk to these people, talking to Graham, what'd you mean when you said you didn't have time left? And kind of getting to know these characters. So that was sort of a different aspect from the Doctor, which, quote unquote traditional female aspects, but I think it's sort of aspects of the Doctor which we've seen, but maybe haven't seen in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we see, some of that with Tennant showing back up for Donna's wedding and things like that. We do see it. It just feels a little heightened, perhaps, partly because we haven't seen it in a while, because Capaldi's Doctor was a little bit less of that, and also because we're seeing it in a female form.
Right.
I definitely get some Tennant vibes in general, I think, from the performance, but I don't think she's copying. She didn't steal any mannerisms. I think it might just be the way that they're writing the Doctor again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just from a silly origin point, it's like, I got her clothes. When did she get her ears pierced? When did that happen?
Yeah.
What did they do at that thrift shop? But anyway.
I mean, it takes half a second.
And in a charity shop, I'm sure they've got a needle and a potato. Job's a good one.
I like to think that she really just wanted one earring, but she kept messing up, so she just put like 10 of them in, and so... but anyway, cool.
I'm good at piercing ears.
I think.
Probably.
Just see this pool of blood. Yeah. Do they go in both ears? Oh, well, whatever. But anyway, so more to say, but we'll kind of go fastly here and then double back as we think of more. So meet the companions. So Ryan Sinclair was sort of our framing character, if we want to use that term, and we talked about sort of his background and what we saw. Interesting family dynamic. So we have Ryan, we have his nan, Grace, and we have his step-grand, Graham. And so...
and then his childhood friend,
Yaz. Yeah. They're all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah.
So, John, what did you think about Ryan as he struggled with the bicycle and struggled to climb and all those things?
I feel like I immediately liked him, partly because of the bicycle, watching him struggle with that. And then I immediately liked Graham because he was kind of mean to Graham, And so, I liked his... I think he was introduced well because it was an immediate family kind of situation. So he wanted to have some of the bluster of any sort of young man, but also his nan was there saying, no, reel it back.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the way they introduced him. I liked the YouTube setup, especially when, for the audience, there was such hype, such buildup around, we're going to see our female Doctor. And he starts off with, I'm going to tell you about the best woman I've ever met. So we're all expecting that to be the Doctor. And then we get this whole story, and by the end it's clear that it's his nan. And it's really lovely, and it's, I think, a really nice framing device for this first episode. I don't know if that means that Ryan's going to be a YouTuber and we're going to see it more. I kind of hope not.
That. Yeah, I couldn't decide how I felt about it, but I wondered if we were going to have a more social media conscious.
I noticed the mention of WhatsApp, which I thought was interesting. But
yes.
I'm kind of over the period in time where the companions go back to their life and then go off with the Doctor on weekends. You know,
Oh, right.
Yes.
travel
Yes.
together,
Like a
be in the TARDIS,
Clara or
go do your
Aurora.
thing. Like, you don't need a job. You have a TARDIS.
You can come back to that later.
Yeah. No, yeah, I did keeping it in the moment, but they were definitely trying, not in a bad way, to make like this is 2018. And these
Yeah.
are people who live in 2018 that would do 2018 things, and so, yeah.
And it felt a little bit like a callback to Amy and Rory. You know, you've got the bits where Rory overhears Amy talking about this amazing man who brings all these adventures to her. And, you know, Rory thinks, oh, the Doctor, she loves the Doctor. And she's like, no, it's you, stupid head. Or whatever, whatever term of endearment she's using for Rory at the time. So I think it was just a little bit of an echo there that I quite liked.
Yeah, and the fact that they introduced Ryan in sort of this family setting and then friend setting, it does sort of ground him as a person, even though we're still learning him. I mean, we learned that he has, obviously...
Dyspraxia.
Well, yeah, and then I was going to say his complicated family relationship, though.
Yes.
You know, we all have perhaps, you know, but so he has issues with the dad. The mom has passed. Now the grandmother's passed. And then he has this awkward step-granddad. And then that's sort of where he is. And then he's sort of struggling in his personal life. Like he's a warehouse worker, not happy about it, you know, and facing a lot of struggles. And so finding his way, as all young men and women do. So that's sort of an interesting context for him to then, where do we go from there? So, but speaking of step-granddad, darling, we finally got, after all your talks, I don't know if you've been listening, but Jessica has been bad-mouthing Bradley Walsh for months now. So we now have Bradley Walsh, darling. What'd you finally think?
I thought Bradley Walsh did a great job as Bradley Walsh.
You mean a grand job?
Yeah, a grand job, yeah. No, I did enjoy him, and I thought his speech at the end was really, really lovely.
Eulogy.
The eulogy, yeah. And I think it's a nice, soft character in some ways that I'm looking forward. Again, I was quite hesitant about, you know, we got to bring an old white guy into this because everybody needs an old white guy. But I think, again, you know, very slight echoes of Donna's grandfather coming in, and I think that there's the potential to do some really interesting things. And also, because he already has a relationship with Ryan, there's a lot of that to explore.
Mm-hmm.
He's also our skeptic.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't look like an alien.
Right, and I think we need that. Especially if the show is returning to sort of a whimsy and wonder sort of feeling. I think that the skeptic can also provide some great comic relief. But, I mean, maybe it's intended to be a little bit subversive that we do have our older white guy and he is the skeptic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And he's also like and I don't mean this as a critique, but you know, he's going to be the most hesitant, the most likely not to run. You know, the most likely to be like, "Are we sure we want to do that?" You know, you know. And I'm not saying the scaredy cat, but he's sort of the older, experienced. You know, do we need to be messing about with that?
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not sure my knees can take another long distance
But
run.
but then we also sort of get the blue collar. You know, if you don't need to know anything, talk to a bus driver.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So pragmatic.
Yeah.
As well.
But then obviously, you know, very, you know, big heart, obviously, with Grace, and you know, the whole "it should have been me that died," and then also the mortality bit that he's in remission. And that's a interesting character aspect.
That may come back in.
Now, his departed wife, now Grace, that was
The woman who fell to Earth.
Yes, I almost, you know, if I have some nitpicks for the episode, it would be like, man, you really killed her. Wow. Wow, yeah. Chris. Okay, well, this is how we're starting.
You can't be surprised. We've seen Broadchurch.
Yes, well, none of them is the murderer, though. Or are they?
Yeah, that's right.
So I did see one of the guest stars was the sexual assault victim from season 3. So anyway,
although she's brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, but anyway, but it was, and I can't remember the character's name, or I mean the actress's name. I mean, but yeah, that she was a heart. She was almost the heart of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Grace for sure. I thought she was lovely. I really enjoyed the attitude. We have to do something. They need help, even though they told us to leave. We have to do something. I mean, that's the kind of heroism I think that we need to celebrate, because she doesn't have expertise that we know of. She doesn't have training. She just knows she wants to help. And I think that's a very doctor-y trait in a lot of ways. Like, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do what I can. And it doesn't matter what happens to me. And I think that's the sort of thing we need to celebrate, that we don't see enough. Because people are always looking out for number one, as it were, instead of each other. So I mean, I'm praising her the same way that Ryan does. Really.
Yeah. Well, and her attitude is also quite universal in terms of, she's not saying, you know, my grandson's up there, I've got to go take care of him. It's, we've got to help the whole situation, which I think is interesting.
And just hearing y'all talk, I think one thing I just thought of, whether it's true or, or purposeful or not, the fact that she's now no longer there, the Doctor in some ways replaces her to Graham and Ryan
as the linchpin that keeps them together. I was thinking something similar,
to motivate them to.
Well, and the only thing that bound them together in any way was her, and now she's gone, and so they have to figure out what their relationship is going to look like. And if the Doctor weren't there, chances are excellent they would drift, and Ryan would be completely alone, and so would Graham.
And finishing out the friends list, I don't know if that's what we're calling them now.
Fam.
Yeah,
we're calling them the
fam
fam
list. Okay. Yasmin Khan, which I thought was, New Who seems to just have like 5 professions, because we have nurse, Rory Grace, and now PC Constable. We got Gwen from Torchwood, and now, I was Andy going to show up at any moment?
There are only 5 careers possible in Whoville
for the 20 people in Britain. But Sue, what do you think of our new fam Yaz?
I love Yaz.
In case the Doctor wasn't northern enough for you, we have Yaz.
I think that the early frustration we see from her when she's off dealing with that parking dispute is very relatable. I think. That the exchange she has early on with the Doctor, well, I got to call it in, and what are you going to tell him? I think that is also very relatable, because she's trying to follow the rules as best she can, while in a situation that the rules were never created for. So I think she's of the fam. She's the one that I'm gravitating towards the most right now. We'll see. Again, we've only had an hour, so we'll see how it all plays out. But she keeps wanting to apply logic and sense and order to situations where there is none. Yeah,
and I think they're sort of setting her up as a great character, because she sort of just doesn't have the tools, because she's young. She just doesn't have. She knows what she wants. She wants to do right. She wants more. She just doesn't have the tool set of how do I deal with the situation. How do I do? But I think she'll gain a lot of experience in the next several episodes of this series. So it'll be interesting to see where she comes out. She's definitely something who wants to do more. Who obviously is looking for adventure or whatever, trying to get the bigger cases.
A little bit like the Doctor's apprentice in this case.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how she grows and what she then takes away back into her regular life, I think.
Now, if there was something, Jessica, you wanted me to remind you of, you said you had some Twitter comment about diversity or something.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Not a Twitter comment. I polled my Facebook friends who were anybody who said, "Hey, we're watching Doctor Who." I was like, "Okay, I want to know what you think. And my friend Clint, and I've been friends with Clint for ages and ages and ages, and he also says he listens to our podcast, which is very exciting.
Hi, Clint.
Shout out to Clint, yay! He said to me, I don't want to read all of it, but he said, "I'm looking forward to seeing Jodie and the showrunners get comfortable with one another in the next few weeks and make this incarnation as distinctive as that of her predecessors. Right now, we all, women and men, need a light to guide us through the dark valley. The fact that the light comes from a sonic screwdriver makes it all the more bearable." Which I thought was just beautifully put.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to see right now, and an important thing to see, and I kind of like that the light guiding us at the minute is a sonic screwdriver, now with Sheffield steel.
Spoon. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, a little bit like, oh, the screwdriver will be explained. And we're like, okay. I'm like, oh, okay.
I love that.
Like,
can I tell you how much I love that?
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh. Just because we know that the TARDIS makes it when they redo the desktop. There we go. But
wallpaper.
Like that's where that comes in. Like, I'll just make one. I'm without a tool that I need. I'll just make it, which means she knows how to make it. She's not afraid to make it. All of the skills that it takes to make it. It's not just the electronics and the circuitry. She's programming it, but she's also creating the casing for it. So you've got the melting the steel and the welding. But I'm not as comfortable with my classic Who. So I'll just say, at least since Chris Eccleston, the Doctor has always told us that he's clever. This Doctor is showing us that she's clever.
Ah, interesting. Yeah.
No, I think because quick context, or you may know this. I don't want to be mansplaining classic Who, but you know,
I have seen quite a bit, but not a lot of everybody. So mostly Tom Baker, who definitely got his hands dirty, and Sylvester McCoy, who was more of a
Fifth Doctor
jokester.
was sort of the Sonicless Doctor,
right?
So he was the only one I always, when it comes to Sonics, that's the one I always think of, sort of a, you know, when he met Tin, that was sort of the things Tin was making fun of, you know. But anyway, but yeah, it was, and I like that we've sort of invented a new way, because the Sonic has always been, you know, as the War Doctor criticized, you know, pointing, and he's like, it's not a, you know, it's a fine instrument. But anyway, now we have sort of the horizontal hold, or I don't know what you call it. So I think that's kind of a cool way to introduce.
The Sheffield hold, obviously. Well, and I really like the questions that at least I personally had before any of this started. You know, how in the world are they going to introduce 3 completely new companions all in one episode? Are they just going to bring them in one episode at a time? How are we going to get to know these people? How are they going to explain the sonic screwdriver? Because every time there's a new sonic screwdriver and everybody's like, okay, that one's new. But, you know, as you say, the Doctor's given it, and so we just have to sort of go with it. And the bringing in of the companions and tying them all in together beautifully, and we get to see this Sonic being made, so we understand why it looks the way it looks, for good or ill, and all of those things. I just think these were things that Chibnall and the rest of the writers took into careful consideration when they were writing. And
not to be the guy concentrating on the Sonic, you know, for any symbolism, but like, that's why I never, I feel like I'm crapping on 12, but anyway, that's why I never connected to 12 Sonic, because
his sunglasses.
Now, as much as the sunglasses are silly, those make sense. Like, that's his character, it's defining, but like, he actually had a sonic screwdriver, but I've always like, I just felt like they just introduced it just to be like, there's a new toy we can sell. Yeah. But it's like, I don't, you know, just keep the 11s and then use the sunglasses. I mean, that would make sense. And they're like, here's a new one, and then we used it for a couple episodes, and like, never mind.
Now we're using sunglasses. Oh, no, we're not. Not anymore.
But I like this one has a connection now, you know, and that's always cool. So anyway, and so now, Sue, how soon are you going to be doing the 13th Doctor as welder cosplay?
I didn't even think about that, but maybe I should put it on my list.
I suppose, you know, it would be I saw someone do this. This is not an original thought on my part. So in comparing it to, and I'm forgetting the name, I know you'll know this, the woman Ghostbuster with the goggles. With the goggles,
Holtzman?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to, the blonde, sorry.
Kate McKinnon. Julian Holtzman. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I can see that comparison a little bit, yeah.
So anyway.
A little bit of steampunk going on.
I'm more of an Abby Yates myself, but sure.
Oh, there we go.
But that scene, she drew that back and hit the Sonic to turn it on, and it sparks. But in Madison Square Garden, when she came out holding up that Sonic, every hand in the place went up and turned on a sonic screwdriver. No matter, you know, which generation of sonic screwdriver it was, but there were thousands of little dots just raised in the air. It was kind of astounding.
Amazing.
It's like Harry Potter wand.
Yeah.
The call has gone out.
Or, you know, the lighter at the heavy metal concert.
Yeah. I wish there were a photograph of it, but if you had a camera out, you'd be kicked out. So
Fair enough.
Cool. Now let's talk about briefly sort of the story, because this is my opinion. I love the characters. Characters were great. Story was okay to me. That's just me. So we had the monster, Tim Shaw, who is credited in the episode as Tim Shaw.
Oh,
which
fantastic.
is
It's
funny.
not his name.
but not in the closed captioning.
Oh, really?
It's
That's
like
funny.
TZIM, I think.
Zimzal.
Doesn't matter.
Tim Shaw. Tim Shaw.
I just like Tim Shaw. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, I'm regenerating here. I don't have time for long names.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of a gruesome monster. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, too far? Maybe?
Yeah. When they went to the collection of teeth, I was like, oh, Chris Chibnall, not again. Don't make it weird. And then he made it weird.
Yeah, I don't know why that was necessary. That didn't seem to me to be a plot point.
No.
Other than, why do you collect teeth?
To stick them on my face.
Yeah, I just... It seems unnecessary.
Yes.
Like if it had been, I mean, also gruesome, but if it had been like, because I was expecting, when he took the thing off, and I forget how it was phrased, but this was my mind at the time. I think the doctor may have asked, why do you collect the teeth? And he took the suit off, and like, oh, we're going to see. I thought it would be like a necklace, a common.
Necklace makes sense.
And that would have been
a little
gruesome
bit,
enough,
yeah.
That would have been like, oh gosh, he's really, that's terrible. But not like, oh, really? I mean, and I was just thinking.
You made a guy spend 6 hours in a makeup chair for this?
And I know this is, kids are always fine. I mean, you can't, but I was just thinking, like, if there are a lot of kids watching that, I'm like, really? I mean, I don't know.
Well, and as you say, Sue, they don't use it. If he were getting energy from them or vitality or calcium,
It's just a trophy.
Yeah, and we only... we don't see it ever, but we only hear about it from the one guy. Like he kills the guy who chucks salad at him. He kills the
grandpa
guy.
Are you Chris?
But he doesn't seem to take their teeth.
Oh, he does. He does.
He does, yeah.
he?
Yes.
I
there's a
definitely
sickening
remember
sound.
on the guy on the street, he bends down and you hear a gross
Oh, gross.
pulling
Okay.
noise.
I missed that. Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah, it was
The
not needed.
U.S.
I thought.
broadcast, the later one in the day, had weird commercial breaks. I mean, I know Doctor Who always has weird commercial breaks in the U.S., but it felt like they cut stuff out.
Yes.
We're going to be seeing it in the theater,
Even
here
though it was
at
2 hours long.
Yeah. Of course, by the time it's up, we will have seen it in the theater. But
Right.
I'm looking forward to it because BBC America had tons of commercials, and I was, following Doctor Who hashtag on Twitter, and Britain was like 10 minutes ahead of us, easily in the episode. And so I'm looking forward to watching it undisturbed. And I know I'm not a crazy person about, aspect ratios, but I know it was different than what they got. So I'll be interested to see it on the big screen, and probably maybe how you saw it too. So
Yeah.
also, we didn't even see the end credits or the music. Like I didn't see anything.
Everybody's talking about how great the end credits and the theme song are, and we
they're
didn't
so
get it.
good.
I know.
And we didn't see it, so
It's
We'll
very,
know.
it's very, it harkens back to the first Doctor. Like a lot of that is in there. It reminded me of the 50th anniversary when they brought that back. It's excellent. A+. End credits.
excellent.
Yeah, no, I do it.
Well, and I think that there were a lot of callbacks to the first Doctor. I feel like the way they all ended up being
Transported
was the word that was coming to mind. Transported into space felt a lot like the way Ian and Barbara ended up in the TARDIS in the beginning in the first season.
Well, it was funny because, I mean, as soon as she was toying with the thing, I'm like, oh, they're all going. But I did not suspect they were all going to be floating in space. So, and it was like,
Yeah.
And because BBC America, like, it just sort of stopped and then went into the after show. Like, there's no credits. I'm like, well, I assume that's the end. But nevertheless, it's a harsh ending.
Yes, yeah.
So I do like it, standalone episodes, but obviously we sort of left on a...
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so and just overall story-wise, go through every plot by every plot. Like I said, the story, like, scary is not the word. Disturbing is not the word. It's just a little like, we killed a lot of people, which I'm not...
A little bit gory.
I mean, there's not like there's no killing in Doctor Who, obviously. There's obviously lots of it, but it's just a little more, I don't know. It was a little turn off. I mean, again, love the characters. I'm here for the characters. The story was not my favorite.
Yeah, the thing I've heard a lot of people say, and I feel this way as well, is that we want a return to the lighter stories. Like, enough with the grim dark. But it's Doctor Who, and there is still a threat every episode, so we're still going to have death and loss.
Yeah.
But they can still take the show in a lighter direction and deal with that. But it was a little bit rough. Yes. And I also don't think that the story was definitely not the greatest story, but that's not what this episode, in my opinion, was really about. This episode was about introducing these characters and the very large change that the franchise is making, and they just needed a vehicle for it. There is no way, in my opinion, that they really could have created an A-plus story while there was so much just riding on the debut of this character.
And while so much of it still had to be, the word's gone completely out of my head, we had to learn all of this. Exposition, thank you. So much had to be exposition because we've got all these new characters.
It's frankly just people. And again, this isn't, I mean, it was a lot of just reacting. But that's how you sort of learn to the characters. React to this, react. So, but I mean, there was some proactive, obviously, from the Doctor and from all the other characters.
Boy, Grace was proactive there.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the exposition, and what they kept saying leading up to this was that this is going to be a fresh start season, that you don't need any of the history in order to enjoy it. And actually, after Comic-Con last night, I had a house guest for just one night, and one of the caveats was, I'm going to make you watch Doctor Who again, because I'm going to get a second watch in, because I knew that the simulcast was going to be super loud, and she had never seen it. It's like, okay, I'll give it a try, whatever. People have told me I'd like it. And when the episode ended, she turned to me and goes, so where can I stream this?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's, Chris's gift, and I'm sure is that he's a character guy. Now, of course, I mean, he does plot well with all the Broadchurch and everything else, but he's a character guy, and so, which I'm not always a character person. I know that's sort of the not to make it a fad, but I know that's sort of the way you write now for television. I still like a good story. But I think that is the value that he's adding here, and that all the other writers, I'm sure, will go crazy with them. So, but yeah. So like I said, I mean, to me, it's no 11th hour, but, so will I rewatch this episode? I don't know, I don't know. I mean, like, obviously we're going to see that movie theater, but like,
at least once.
BBC America basically played it 50 million times on Sunday, and I was like, after the first one, I'm like, can we change the channel? I'm like, no, I'm good. We're going to see it in a movie theater. I don't need to. So, but yeah, I mean, what'd you all think about killing Grace? Was it needed, or was it?
Yes.
Okay.
I do think it was. Because, as you say, she was sort of the linchpin for Graham and Ryan, and now either the Doctor becomes that, or they find their own thing that brings them together, or it's a combination of both. And so, yeah, I think unfortunately, as much as I hate it, yeah.
I think it was also key for Ryan too, because he says in that video, I'm going to go back out there for her, and he doesn't go back out and succeed, which A+ for person with disability not suddenly being, quote, fixed at the end of an episode. So there's that, part one. But it's not... her inspiration to him is not that he's going to go out and do something. It's that he's going to keep trying.
Yeah, that was one thing I was scared about the end. I'm like, because I don't know anything about the disease, but I'm like, surely you just can't beat it by sheer will. I mean, like, there has to be some sort of other aspects to it. It's like... And I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of it. So like, I'm going to cure this flu by not wanting to have, like, that's not how diseases are cured, But anyway, so I was like, I hope he doesn't succeed, because it's knowing nothing about the disease, which I'm sure I need to learn more about, it can't possibly be how it works. So, but it was good to see, it is the journey and all that stuff, and the journey begins. So final thoughts about the episode and what you're most excited about to see to come.
Alan Cumming.
Now, explain.
So excited.
What do you know him from? Because I saw the sort of all the name, and I'm like, I know just by face, like the woman from Series 3 Broadchurch, the woman who's going to be playing Rosa Parks. So she's been in Doctor Who before. She was in 42, Chris's first Doctor Who episode.
Right.
And Chris Noth. I hate to go with the white American guy, but I'm like, Chris Noth, really? From Law and Order? I'm like, surely he's got to be the bad guy in the Rosa Parks episode,
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
but anyway.
What do I know Alan coming from? He was the he was the MC in the revival of Cabaret and won a Tony.
Okay.
I was going to say that is my first. This is what I know Alan Cumming for. But he's done so much.
He's Scottish American, so his accent fluctuates quite nicely, much like I suppose John Barrowman.
I was about to say that's
possibly even more so. Trying to think what else, like film, or he was on The Good Wife and then The Good Fight on CBS.
He did this weird one man the Scottish play a couple years ago.
Oh,
where the play, the conceit was that the play was all taking place in his mind and he was in an asylum.
Interesting.
I'm not sure I'm even a little bit surprised by that, to be honest.
It was weird.
Yeah, and it sounds
some weird Scottish
just
play.
It sounds
properly.
very Alan Cumming, doesn't it?
Yes, it totally does.
But yeah, I think overall, again, I know I'll keep saying characters until it ends. But anyway, but as far as the 13th Doctor, who, of course, that's what it's all about. Well, I mean, more or less. Like the end, there were a lot of moments when we were talking about last week about first Doctor moments. And I don't know if you got all of them that they sometimes have in those first episodes. But just when she finally appeared in her costume, it's this weird dissonance because or at least I've seen all these promo pics, and even the teasers. But like, it's weird to actually see her in the costume, just regular, like finally, fine. But it's cool. But I mean, it's like, that's awesome, pockets and everything. That's what you're going with. It's comfortable.
I love that. But the moment I really loved was before her "I'm the Doctor" moment, where she's saying we can honor who we were and decide who we want to be next. And I mean, clearly people are going to say, oh, well, that's a directly speaking to the fans who aren't happy about this change. Sure, maybe it is. But it's also true whenever you decide to make a change in your life. It's true when you change careers. Maybe you are going through something where you have lost someone or intentionally lost someone. Maybe it can be also a political statement of we need to take a look at ourselves and do something different. It's applicable in so many situations, and it's not just a direct statement about regeneration, but it is. I thought it was really lovely, and in some case maybe it's a little bit on the nose, but I enjoyed it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I think there were a couple of moments that Chibnall put in that were ever so slightly pointed. This is new and new is scary, or whatever it is that she says as well. But that also is so the Doctor.
Yeah.
This isn't a new concept, this regeneration thing. And we have seen people struggling, companions struggling to readjust to their way of thinking. And the Doctor, gives not dissimilar speeches.
Yeah, you could put those words into the mouths of any of the Doctors, and they'd be perfectly in place.
Yes.
But they carry more weight in this episode, or maybe it's just they carry more weight this week. know?
Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
All right. Well, before we go into the TARDIS library, Sue, you're going to get the last word as the guest.
Oh, boy.
The woman who fell to Earth.
Just one word. That's it.
Better be brilliant. Well, I'll give you. I'll vamp for a second for you, but I thought it was interesting of all the things we didn't see. We didn't see a TARDIS. We didn't see the new TARDIS interior.
That's true.
We didn't see the new the intro. We didn't. We got the theme song at the end. And all these things of like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Patience.
We're not doing everything. We're just milking this newness for all it's worth, which I think is awesome.
Oh, one word. It's so early still.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the one I want to say is revelatory. But I don't know if that's going to be true yet. So how about just exhilarating?
Now, Sue, before we let you go, where can people find you online to talk about all things Doctor Who, and especially anything New York Comic Con related?
Well, if you want to just chat with me, I am on Twitter at Spaltor. That's Spaltor. And if you are also a Star Trek fan, you can find me over on the Women at Warp podcast, where we talk about Star Trek and feminism. And that's at womenatwarp.com or on the Roddenberry Podcast Network.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, Sue.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, talking about exhilarating women will lead us into the TARDIS library.
When you close your eyes,
I go to the library.
go to the library now.
Back in the TARDIS library with just Jessica and myself, and we're doing something a little different. We're going to go with a book.
Yes.
Isn't it crazy? We live wild lives.
We are crazy like that.
And so, speaking of exhilarating women, we are going to be talking about Doctor Who, The Women Who Lived, Amazing Tales for Future Time Lords by Christel Dee and Simon Guerrier. I'm saying that correctly, hopefully.
Guerrier.
Possibly. This was released September 2018. And, darling, if you want to read the Amazon synopsis.
Woohoo! Meet the women who run the Whoniverse. From Sarah Jane Smith to Bill Potts, from Susan Foreman to the 13th Doctor, women are the beating heart of Doctor Who. Whether they're facing down Daleks or thwarting a Nestine invasion, these women don't hang around waiting to be rescued, except for Perry. They roll their sleeves up and get stuck in. Scientists and soldiers, queens and canteen workers, they don't let anything hold them back. Featuring historical women such as Agatha Christie and Queen Victoria, alongside fan favorites like Rose Tyler and Missy, The Women Who Lived tells the story of women throughout space and time. Beautifully illustrated by a team of all-female artists, this collection of inspirational tales celebrates the power of women to change the universe.
Sure. So we read this on our respective Kindle app devices. Mm-hmm. And so it's sort of a, I don't know how to describe it. It's because they're sort of featurettes. You know, each character gets 1 or 2 or 3 pages. Well, at least on the Kindle anyway. Yeah. I'm sure in the book as well. And then, as they said, there's an illustration or perhaps 2 or even 3, depending on how involved the character is. And so it's alphabetical by first name, I believe.
Yeah, it starts with Ace.
Ace. And so it is interesting how much it does cover. As I'm reading it, I'm thinking like, this covers a lot, and then like, surely they're missing a lot too. But because it's, classic to from Susan Foreman to the 13th Doctor, and everyone in between. And so they actually do have a little honorable mention list at the end that are a little shorter featurettes with no illustrations. And even after that, they just have like a list of like, here's some women too.
Yeah, here's some other ones that we've forgotten. So yeah, I feel pretty certain that they included all the women in Who. Mm-hmm. Whoever, if they got a line in Doctor Who, they get at least a name drop in this book. So that was exciting. And it made me, there was, reading about some of the, not necessarily the companions I haven't met, but some of the characters and some of the companions, but this talking about some of their stories that I went, oh, I'd kind of like to see that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I might use this as a little bit of a reference guide of, okay, I want to watch that episode.
That's right.
Figure out which one it is and find it.
Maybe you can start picking the classic episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was cute. It sort of has this sort of, I don't mean that in a derisive way, but it sort of has this sort of fairy tale setting, so it all starts, of like, this is...
Once upon a time, there was a woman who something. So, now as a practical aspect, I don't know if I would recommend this book to sort of people who aren't pretty good fans. Like, this isn't an introductory book. Well, unless you just wanted to read
it and be like you said, and like, oh, I want to read that.
Yeah.
Watch that episode. But I don't know. Who would you suggest this book for?
Maybe somebody who has started to get into it and wants to know more, or somebody who's interested in getting into it and wants to know more first. Because, as I said, reading about... I am traditionally not always a big fan of the classic Who's, but reading these descriptions, I was like, oh, I really want to see that episode. So I think it's good for drawing people in. But as you say, there are a lot of, characters that you go... do you want to chuck this at somebody who has no Who experience? I'm not sure.
Yeah, is it good as a lure, or is it good as someone who's seen it? You're like, oh yes, like a book to read about your favorite character descriptions.
I think maybe for someone who wants to learn more.
Okay.
Because it is nice to revisit and see, oh, yay, I've gotten to River Song and I love her, But again, also these names that either I haven't seen their episodes or I haven't seen that particular episode, even though I've seen that character, and does make me want to delve deeper. Yeah,
and the illustrations are interesting. I think some are better than others, but I think they're all different. They're very evocative, and then they're different ways of viewing, different perspectives. Some of them are a little, and again, not to be derivative, a little more cartoony than say portraits. I mean, there's some that are very like, oh, that's the person, more sort of the more rougher
essence.
Yes, of the character, and so it's interesting to see how everyone attacks it.
Because a lot of times, not always, but with several of them, they would put a picture of them at the front before the story starts, and then a picture at the end. And so I'd get to the picture in the front, and I'd sometimes try and guess who it was.
Yes,
and of course, because it's alphabetical, I could cheat ever so slightly. But yeah.
I think I had some confusion with Victoria, Vicky, and Zoe or something. But anyway, I was like, I can't remember which one's which. Yeah. But anyway.
But it does, as you say, it includes the 13th Doctor. It includes Yaz. I'm having a look through the
index.
Contents. And it doesn't include Grace.
No, unfortunately. So I don't know exactly how much they had access to when this came out.
Yes, fair enough. Yeah. But Yaz is definitely there. And of course, and I don't know, can we go to the spoilers?
Oh, no, I think that was my favorite part because
it was mine too.
Well, I didn't know, reading this book, because it's, it's not necessarily like a read from first to last page. You can flip around, obviously, look at your favorite characters. But obviously I wanted to read as much as possible when we were going to talk about it. But I managed to finally finish it, and then at the end there's almost this sort of surprise entry to me, like sort of a Easter egg.
And I went, wait, I don't remember this character. And then, And
that's, of course, Verity Lambert gets her entry at the end, the producer of Doctor Who, the first producer of Doctor Who ever. And so I thought that was very cool.
It gave me chills a little bit. I thought it was really lovely. And to include her in that, I just think, because of course, I mean, she is absolutely essential to this being a thing. And doesn't get the credit she deserves for being, a woman producer 55 years ago. It's amazing. So it was nice. I thought it was a nice honor.
So yeah, so it's I recommend, depending, what you're looking for. But check it out. Like I said, it wasn't that much on Kindle or Amazon. And
I loved it. So
yeah, there you go. So, very quickly, before we close, we can talk about the other book we read.
We read, what month are we in? 10th Doctor.
Dr. 10th.
Dr. 10th.
Yes. So that was an interesting story. I'm trying to remember, did he have a companion? He didn't, did he? No.
I don't think so.
No. So that was interesting. I guess this was during the movie special, Dr. 10th.
Yeah. He was out with the Centaurans. Yes.
Right. That's right. Talking about, I'm not your enemy.
Yes, trying to convince the Centaur in general that he was not the enemy. And ultimately they ended up having, what was the food that they were there for?
No, I'm forgetting that they were out of, so spoilers at the end.
Yeah, it was like bacon or something ridiculous.
I can't remember, but anyway. It was
a lot of fun. Yeah.
And so, yes, darling. So I can already tell you what we're going to be talking about next week.
What are we going to talk about next? We haven't even discussed it, darling. How could you possibly know?
Well, of course, be talking about episode 2, The Ghost Monument, with another special guest. And so, if please tell us your thoughts about the 13th Doctor, the first episode, what you liked, what you are processing, and what you're looking forward to. You can reach me at NC Public Servant.
You can get me at One Phoenix Theater.
Or you can just add us at the network at Join Nerd Party, or comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Nerd Party. And leave us a comment or rating in iTunes, so that way we can let people know more about this podcast and get more people talking Who. So until next week, enjoy watching, listening, and reading the Doctor's adventures throughout time and space.
This is BBC Television.